Well, here I am outside James's hospital on this beautiful summer's day. And just to let you know, I'm starting my first chemo today. And I am so happy I'm finally on the system. So today I start my chemo. It's my first day of chemo. And I really felt it was important to my customers, because it's through my customers that I have got the strength I have today. Listening to them, seeing them coming through it, shaving their heads, getting their wigs, seeing them coming in terrified, leaving happy. And I went back in my mind of all the customers that had come and gone and how well they were afterwards. And that's what gave me my strength. So it's my first journey today. I'm starting chemo. I'm going to James's now in a few moments, and I'm starting my chemo. I'm the owner of the hair club in Donnybrook, and I've been in the wig business for the last 20 years, and I have supported and helped a tremendous amount of clients going through chemotherapy and hair loss. And now it's my turn. I am now the patient. I have discovered that I am going through cancer myself, and I have cancer of the bowel. And I just want to document this because I want you to know exactly the stages of, the first stages of how I discovered this, which I think is really, really important. How I started to feel around March. I started to feel exceptionally tired. And even before that, I went and had tests for my breasts. I, had many, many tests because I just wasn't feeling well. Going to work every day, and I come home some days just feeling really, really tired. And my family used to say to me, it's nothing, because it's the amount of hours you work. And I kept saying, no, there's something different. I got constipation. That's the only way I could describe it. I went to my GP, and she said to me, I told her what the symptoms were, and I said, my body has always been regular, and I'm a bit concerned about this because this has only happened to me. So she gave me a full examination, and she said, is there any bleeding? I said, no. She examined, she said, no, I can't feel anything there, you're fine. I said, is there any chance, I said, that you could get me tested for cancer? I said, because my body doesn't feel right. She said, no, not at all. She said, you're fine. There's no bleeding. There's no lumps there. I have examined you. I'm just going to give you some medicines to be able to go to the toilet. And if that doesn't work, come back to me in about a month. I said to her, well then, would you please give me a test for my kidneys? I said, because I feel there's a bit of pressure on my kidneys. So she gave me a urine. I did my urine that morning, and she put the little yellow thing in. She says, no, you have no kidney infection. Off you go. Now, of course, that was music to my ears, because that's exactly what I wanted to hear. But no matter what medication I took, nothing worked. I phoned my doctor again, and she gave me more medicine. And then I said to him, no, something has to be done here. So he immediately phoned his friend in the hospital, and they organised for me to have a scope. And the one thing I did notice, I was more tired than ever. Maybe it was the stress of knowing in my gut feeling there was something wrong with me. Because I'm hearing this every day in the hair club. Every day clients are coming to me, telling me their symptoms, how they're getting on, what happened. And a few clients that I'm quite close to were telling me their symptoms, and they reminded me of my symptoms. So eventually, after 3 weeks, I got the scope, and I was very, very happy to get there that day, because I felt then I was progressing and everything was being taken care of, not really knowing what to expect. Well, I woke up from the scope, and they gave me tea and toast, and my son was sitting beside me, and he looked green in the face. I mean, the shock of seeing him beside me was worse than what I was going to hear. So I said, what are you doing here? Because I was still dozy from the anaesthetic. He said, Mom, he said, the doctor called and said that he wants to have a chat with me and you together. And I said, that just doesn't sound good. So the doctor came to see me and my son together. And he said, I have removed a few polyps, because there's one polyp or lump, because it was quite hazy, because I was in a bit of shock now, that I haven't removed, and I've done a biopsy, and I've sent it off to James's to be examined, and I just don't like the look of it. Well, I can't tell you how I felt, or my son felt. My heart just sank, and I thought, oh my God, it's my turn. All I wanted to know was, am I going to survive this? And he said, this is probably the luckiest constipation you've ever had. So it was really good, because he said, I'm going to try and get you an immediate appointment to see the doctor in James's. On the way back from the scan, we went and had a coffee, and I was picking up my phone, and I started to ring all my clients, making sure all my appointments were ready for the next day, because my clients mean so much to me that I didn't want to let them down when they had all these appointments coming in to get their wigs and hair toppers and all of that. And my son said to me, because he was very, very emotional, and I was very emotional, and he said to me, can we just not leave this aside for one day? I said, no, I have to go on as normal. I need to see that everybody in that book it's all looked after, because I'm going into work tomorrow, and I'm going into work as much as I can. So within 3 days, I was down in James's, and my son, both terribly shaken. So they booked me in then for a CAT scan and an MRI scan. So I did get security out of that, because I felt I was in really good hands, and now they were starting to work out what was exactly wrong with me. Even though I didn't want to hear the news, I needed to hear the news. I needed to feel safe. I needed to know where I was going here. I needed to know, did I get it in time? I needed to know, was I going to live? Knowing I had a tumour or a lump, whatever they want to call it, or whatever I want to call it, there was a 10-day wait. And that was the hardest part, is waiting every day to find out exactly where this tumour was and how big it was, and was it caught in time. So I went and had my scans. I had my MRI, which I used to hear that all the time in the hair club, and I used to think, oh, what's an MRI scan? Is it terrible? Actually, can I just say something? The MRI scan was what I imagined it to be. Everything was totally over-exaggerated in my brain. I was dreading going for an MRI scan. And when I got there, I went to the nurse, is that it? So I sailed through that with no fear. And then the CT scan is when they put a dye in your body to go through your body. I was expecting even more than the worst, because I must have looked terribly scared, because there was a man outside waiting before me, and he said, can I just say something to you? This is nothing. You're not going to feel anything, he said, okay? So he gave me some relief. So in I went and had both of the scans. So I had to change my mindset. And I knew as the journey was going to go on, my mindset was going to change, because nearly the worst was over, of knowing now what I had, knowing I had my scans, knowing now I was waiting now to see the next doctor. And I remember saying to my son, do you know, son, I don't care if I lose all my hair, because I've seen that happen with my clients. I don't care if I have to have a bag. I don't care what happens. I don't care how much chemo I have to go through or radiation. I just want to know that I'm going to be on planet Earth. So the next visit was to see the next doctor, and this is my chemotherapy doctor. I went back to James's. Now, this was a meeting I said to my son, I don't want you to come with me. I said to my daughter, I don't want you to come with me. I just wanted my brother there, because he wouldn't have the same emotional feeling as my children. So I needed to keep all my strength for me and not worry about them. My daughter came in and did all the CAT scans with me, and my son did all the other journeys with me, and I thought I just need to go do this separately, because this is now the results. I phoned my sister, and she asked me, phone them. So I thought, okay, I'll phone the nurse. And of course I phoned the nurse, and she was fabulous. She said, hi Dolores, yeah, we got the results back. I believe, yeah, you definitely have, a tumour. And what I'm reading here is, I'm reading that you probably need 8 chemos and radiation and then an operation. The reason I brought my brother with me was because he was a doctor. Now he's 87 now and he's fantastic. And he would be phoning me afterwards and say, exactly what happened to you? What is it? You know, where is it? What type of medication are you going on? What type of chemo are you going on? And I thought, well, to save all of this and all my family phoning me and asking me, you know, where I am here, what is it? I didn't want to answer all those questions. So I brought my brother along and I thought, if anybody wants to know anything, they can ask him. So he was sitting beside me, talking to the doctor and asking her all the intricate questions about, you know, what size it was, you know, where it was it localized, which was a haze to me, by the way. Localized means that it hasn't traveled. This tumor has been with you for about 2 years and it was a sleeping growth. And I had no sign of it until like around March. And she said, you're a very healthy woman, your bloods have been very, very good, she said, but this has been growing slowly. And the good news is that it's localized. And I knew the journey I had ahead of me because I've been working with clients and dealing with clients for over 20 years. So then the professor came in and he said, we're going to get through this together. He said, you know, you're a healthy woman. You're going to have 8 chemos and you're going to have it every second week. And what we're going to do is we're going to get your bloods done today, which gave me great hope. And we're sending them to England so we can pinpoint exactly where we need to do the chemo. Well, here I am outside James's Hospital on this beautiful summer's day. And just to let you know, I'm starting my first chemo today. And I am so happy I'm finally on the system.